Okay, we are now live. So, hello and welcome to another Facebook Live within Intelligent Investing for Independent Women. So, I am thrilled to bring our guest today, Tabitha from New View Trust Company. She is joining us to talk a little bit about the power of investing through a retirement account. So, this is a great follow up to the live last week. I know we had someone in speaking with Maria and talking about some of the tax benefits of investing through a retirement account. So we're going to hit on a little bit of that and do a little more of a deep dive into the power of investing through retirement accounts and also some health spending accounts, right, and dependent care accounts and things like that. So without further ado, welcome, Tabitha.
Hi, thank you so much for welcoming and having me on the show. It's always good to share knowledge with wonderful ladies like yourselves. So let's dive right in. My name is Tabitha. I work at New View Trust Company. I'm a salesperson here, so I kind of provide education and, background on IRAs and what you can do and different strategies that I've seen in the past. So let's get started. As New View, we're not a brokerage we're a passive custodian, so we don't sell investments. We don't tell you what's a good investment or what you can invest in. That's the self-direction, but we do provide education and things that we've seen in the past. So we're exactly like Charles Schwab or Fidelity, except we're not licensed brokerages, so we can't sell investments. Of all the IRAs valued above of all the IRAs valued above $5 million, 25% of them are holding non-traditional assets. So anything held outside of the stock market, anything not stocks, bonds, and mutual funds that you can hold in the IRA, there's only two things that you cannot invest in with an IRA, which is life insurance and collectibles.
And so let's stop for a minute and dive into that a little bit. So that tells me if you're looking at an IRA over 5 million, right? And 25% of them hold alternative investments. What that tells me is the wealthy are onto something, right? So that, and I posted this a little bit ago, I think a couple weeks ago. I posted this statistic because it makes my head explode a little bit, because contrary to that, and I think you're getting to this point, not to jump ahead, but I think it's a very small percent, right, of all other IRAs that are invested in alternative assets. So the goal of this group and the goal of this presentation and everything we do is to try to get people and increase knowledge around investing, right? Whatever that looks like. And it doesn't necessarily have to be real estate. I think we all know I am a real estate investor lover, right? That's what I love to invest in. But that doesn't mean that's the right answer for everyone. But just to increase your investing knowledge and be able to invest in some of these alternative investments. But when you're looking at the wealthy, and 25% of these IRAs hold alternative investments, that is powerful. So, when people are saying, oh, I either want to be part of the 1% or I want to invest, or what do they know that we don't know? This is a really good insight to that, right? This is one of the things that they know that the general population doesn't really know. And quite frankly, I didn't know that I could self-direct any of my investments until I started working with New View. And I think that was in 2018 when I got into real estate investing. So, it's one of those things. I know you guys are out there trying to educate, right, and provide information to as many people as humanly possible. And we're doing the same thing within this group, because it's unfair, right, and unjust that the wealthy know of this, right, and the general population doesn't. So it's one of our missions to make sure that we are spreading this information as much as we can.
Yeah, Angie, and I think I saw you post it on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago, and somebody had shared it and said, yeah, like these IRA accounts, it's almost like it's a club for the wealthy.
Yep.
So
absolutely. So join the wealthy club.
Join the wealthy club, exactly. And so in reference to that, only 2% of all IRAs held, only 2% of them are holding non-traditional assets.
So that's the mind-blowing part, right? See the huge
Right.
disparity there. So that's what we need to close the gap on, is to make sure that we are helping people understand how to get these set up, why it's so important, and how it can be such a great wealth creator.
Right. And people ask like, what would make me interested, or why should I put my money away into a retirement account that I won't be able to touch for years? Well, there's many reasons why, because not only will you get your tax saving benefits, so any money that you contribute, it's either going to be tax deferred or tax free, along with any capital gains that you get from your investing as well. Not only that, but you actually get to choose your investment. You get to choose and self-direct your retirement fund. People think that self-direction means that the IRA is different. An IRA is an IRA. We just call them self-direction because you are able to choose your investing. If you are a more active investor and know like what you're investing in, that's ultimately the best. If you know that you're going to invest in real estate and get a much higher return than your money just sitting there in the stock market being invested in things that somebody told you had to invest in, like you think you're choosing what you're investing in, but really if you research it and see what you're investing in, it's not something that you chose. It's something that you were given these options and this is what you were able to choose from. So, investing in what you know best, that's what we always recommend that you do. If you know that something's going to give you a much higher return, there should be no question, what if you should be investing in that, as well as diversification. So, a lot of people have a NewView account as well as an account with Vanguard or Fidelity. So that way they can be invested in multiple different things and really diversify, their savings, what their interest, what they're earning, and, what they're investing in, so they can ultimately grow it as much as possible with every option that they can.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people too. I have accounts outside of NewView. I have accounts within NewView. I have a solo 401k that NewView is the administrator on. So, there's a lot of different ways that you can invest and you can diversify. And that's one of the things we talk about all the time is diversification. And it's so important, just looking at the stock market, and not to get on my soapbox, but if we look at last year, it was a bit of a roller coaster ride, right? And so a lot of people had instilled a lot of fear and panic in people. And so, some of the investors that I work with within Ohana Investment Partners, they either have pulled their money out, right, or want to, but feel like they're stuck because you don't realize a loss until you start pulling your money out, right? So this is a great way to diversify both into real estate and some other alternative investments. But going back to what Tabitha mentioned, it's you get to control it, right? But behind that, right, you have to have the knowledge and you have to have the foundation to be able to make educated decisions. So investing in what you know and you understand is so very important. We've all made good investments and investments that have gone sideways. Quite frankly, the investments that I've made that have gone sideways have been things that I was not educated about. I invested in an Amazon e-commerce store. It was a freaking disaster. Some people are really successful with it. I didn't educate myself on it well enough to make an informed decision. So hindsight's 2020, right? It's literally going down as the worst investment I've ever made. But I learned a ton from it. So, and if I can share that with you and save you, just make sure you're knowledgeable and you are educated on what you're investing in. It is so important.
Yeah, and I know recently a client reached out to me and he's like, yeah, I need to do something different. I've only been invested in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and last year I lost $50,000. And that blew my mind. And like when I share that story, even more people are like, what? That's all? That's all
Yeah.
he's lost? And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
And you're fine with that? You're fine with your investments losing and losing and losing when you could take it into your own hands?
Yeah.
So, and another thing too, like when people are investing in, say, real estate, I mean, what do they do? What are they doing? Real estate agents, they're buying distressed real estate. They're going out into the community. They're spending money on wood and paint and local businesses, putting money back into the businesses, as well as making that property look better, go up, appreciate in value, as well as make all the other houses in the neighborhood appreciate in value.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of different types of there's two different types of ways that you can contribute to a IRA, either tax deferred or tax free. So whatever money that you contribute, you can either have the money written off on your taxes, or you can pay the taxes. You put away the money that's in your back pocket. Whatever capital gains that you grow, you never have to worry about paying taxes again because you've already paid the taxes. But on the tax deferred, you can write that whatever you contribute, you write that off on your taxes, you subtract it from your earned income, and you pay less in taxes. So either way, both way, you're kind of winning. Putting away money, saving for your retirement, and paying less in taxes. That's how the rich get rich, as they were saying.
Yeah, and that's something too that Maria talked about last week. I think she converted her IRA when she set it up. She converted it over to a Roth, right? And so she paid the taxes on it. I think invested in some real estate and got depreciation to offset those taxes. So you can, it's really important to work really closely with your accountant or with your tax professional, because if you are doing something like that, and I'm sure she'll chime in and provide more specifics, but if you are doing something like that and you're converting a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA so that you can grow that money 100% tax free, you're going to take that tax hit, for lack of better term, now. But there are a lot of ways to offset that tax hit, right? So there are ways to reduce that tax burden. And a lot of that is through real estate. A lot of it's through depreciation. Or bonus depreciation. So make sure that you are coordinating, if you're doing something like that, with your tax professional. It is really important.
And we always recommend too, whenever you are converting, we always recommend that you convert when you think that you're going to be in the lowest tax bracket. If you think later on in life you're going to be at the lowest tax bracket, then that's when you would want to do the conversion. If you think now you're going to have a much higher tax bracket later on in life, then we recommend doing it now. It's ultimately whatever works for you, and that's what's the beauty of self-direction. Anything, like, you choose, you make the decisions instead of it being for someone else. A couple other plans that we can go over. If you are a business owner and you have no employees, you're eligible to open a solo 401k. So with that, you're the employee and the employer. You're able to put away 25% of your earned income, up to $66,000 this year. That's a lot of money, that you can put away that you're either paying taxes on now or not paying the taxes on. You know what I'm saying? So and that's the best plan too. When you have that plan, say you're putting all this money away, and you don't expect to need the money, and then years down the line you come into a hardship and you need this money, for something, you can borrow from yourself 50% up to $50,000, and you'll be paying yourself interest back, of course, but that's still growing your account because you're paying yourself in interest.
And that account as well, you can contribute both as an employer and an employee, correct? So you can choose whether or not you want to contribute as an employee, or you may just contribute as an employer. So it is a lot. There's a lot more flexibility that comes with a solo 401k plan. And then you also can get checkbook access. So in essence, you're making a decision. And one of the things I love about that account is if I come across an investment opportunity or offering and I'm like, yes, this is it, I submit my wire form and the wire goes out, and that's it. Right. So it's very simple. It's very straightforward. It's a way to, if you're investing. And so, for instance, some of the syndications, we rolled one out recently. It got fully subscribed very quickly. So depending on what type of investments you're in, that may help as well. Now, that being said, I know NewView has recently set up a syndication team, which has been really helpful in making sure that things are done very efficiently, especially when an offering is out there that an investor wants to invest in. So we can work hand in hand with that team as well. So don't freak out if you don't have a solo 401k and feel like you're going to miss out on opportunities. You're not. I'm just highlighting what I love about it. But even if you have a self-directed IRA or a self-directed Roth, we can work with NewView directly to make sure that we're all on top of it and we're getting everything done as quickly as possible for your investments.
And another plan that I want to highlight is the HSA. So most people don't know what a HSA is, or they know a little bit about it, but it's ultimately one of the best plans because not only is it tax deferred, but it's also tax free when you take it out and pay for qualified medical expenses. So not only can you write the money off that you contribute to that account, that you put into the account, you can write that off, subtract that from your earned income, and be contributing. And you can also invest in anything in the HSA. You can partner your traditional account, your HSA, you can partner them with the HSA. What I've seen is, the doctor says you have a bad back, so you put in an underground pool and write that off on your taxes. I'm not saying, get an HSA so you can put in an underground pool tax free, but hey, it is an option. Something too, massages that can be covered as a qualified medical expense, which is super cool. And it's not only for yourself, but you can open one for the whole family. So the whole family is protected and covered. So the only qualified thing you need for that is a high deductible healthcare plan. And for the children, if you're trying to plan for education for them, there's an educational savings account or a Coverdale account. You can contribute $2,000 and also partner with that account with any other investment. Whatever percentage that you put in for each account, whatever capital gains that are growth from the investment will be split at that percentage as well.
And is that comparable to a 529 or 529? However, I know people say it different ways. Is it? And that you have to use it for educational expenses, right?
Right. Exactly.
So the benefit of that is
it's more flexible. It's a little bit more flexible than the 529.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right. So any of those plans that we just mentioned can be self-directed. But with that, there are some restrictions when it comes to investing. They have prohibited parties. So anyone that is your ascending and descending family members, your fiduciary or tax professional, all of those people would be considered disqualified parties, your spouses, ascending and descending family members. But with that said, there's still ways to work or partner with those people. As long as you meet with an attorney, whatever percentage that you put in for each, that percentage will pay for expenses, and whatever capital gains will be split up at that percentage as well. Like we mentioned before, life insurance and collectibles would be also prohibited. And you also have to be careful about per se. So some people, like you tell them, yes, it's prohibited for you to buy this office building and rent it out to your daughter. And then the next question is like, oh, but what if my nephew, I buy it, my nephew rents it, and then subleases it to my daughter? That still would be considered prohibited because that would be per se. I'm sorry. All right. So
I was just going to ask, I know before you went over the different plans, like the SEP, I think, right? And the other, I just want to make sure we cover those. So I know a lot of the women within our group are entrepreneurs and maybe the only employee, but I know there are people within our group, and we asked recently, and there are people that do have more W-2s and have a team. So I just want to make sure we cover different plans that they may be able to look at as the employer, both for themselves and then their employees.
Yeah, so there are two other plans for employers and employees. So that would be the SEP. You can also contribute 25% of your earned income up to $66,000. You must be 21 and over in order to be covered for the plan and employed with that employer for 3 years. But whatever percentage that you put in for your own income is what you have to put in for the percentage of their income. Does that make sense? Am I explaining?
So if you put in 10% of your income, you earn 10% of their income.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And then we have the simple IRA. So it's a simple plan. It's like the 401k, but it's more simple, as they say. Again, whatever percentage that you put in for yourself, you have to put in for you have to do a 3% match for your employees.
And what is the employee count for that? I know that there's one for SEP and one for the other IRA.
Yeah, for the SEP, I found out it's 50 or
Okay.
less. And then same with the simple, 50 or less,
Okay, gotcha.
I think. I'm honestly not too sure about the simple. I
Okay,
need to review that one.
it's okay. We can check and then we can put the answer below.
In the comments, yeah. All right. So what can I invest in with my IRA? So like we said, you can invest in anything that the IRS doesn't prohibit. There's two things, life insurance and collectibles, but you're able to invest in real estate, notes, private lending, syndications, like Angie said, single families, Airbnbs. I mean, there's so many different options, wholesaling, tax liens, many different options. Private equities, you can invest in trusts, joint ventures, you can have an LLC. That's what Angie was mentioning when we were talking about the solo 401k. So you get automatic checkbook control. So what that means is you can go to a bank, open a business checking account, and have direct access to your funds. So your IRA or 401k will technically be invested into the LLC that you create for your IRA. At that point, we would wire the money to your bank account. You would have a bank account, a checking or a credit card, and you'd be able to just purchase your investments at your leisure, as easy as that. You just have to be sure that you're keeping all the receipts and that you only use that checking account for the IRA or 401k and for investment purposes only. So
Yeah.
but other than that, having your money and being able to have it right then and there, especially for somebody who's doing like real estate auctions or auctions in general, or need that money right away and don't want to wait on New View, I mean, that's always an option for
Yeah,
you.
and there are some administrative parts to it, right? So you do have to keep track of what you're invested in, right? So that you can, at the end of the year, I know my accountant always asks me, hey, what were you invested in as of December 31st? I'm like, oh man, because we always extend my taxes, right? And I'm like, oh wait, okay, let me go back. So I'm getting better at that. But you do have to keep track of that. And because it is an LLC, right, and it has an EIN number, you have to file a tax return for it. So just be cognizant of that. So there are some little nuances that you need to be aware of if you are opening a solo 401k, but that's all stuff, that New View can let you know and walk you through as well.
And that is an option that you also have with a Roth or traditional IRA. Something we've also seen people invest in is notes. So you can do secured or unsecured notes. To me, I don't know why anyone would do unsecured, but you have that option. There's one guy that we have here. All he does is notes. He has money in his account and he just lends his money out at a high interest rate and just hands off, passive investing, just gets money, earns money that way. So it's a really, really simple process. If you want to get started with your IRA, you can, fill out the application. And if you have a 401k or an IRA already, we can roll that money over into an account. And then once the account's funded, you're ready to start making your investments your way. Usually how it goes, if you don't have that checkbook control, is you'll just fill out a purchase authorization. And then as long as we have all your subscription documents and everything that we need, we'll wire the money to your investment.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things, and I didn't realize, right, I came from pharmaceutical world. So we had buyouts or mergers or whatever every 3 years on average. So what I didn't realize is I just rolled it from one employer to the next. But if you are, and I know there's within this group, there's a lot of different backgrounds and people in different situations. So if you are a W-2 employee and working for someone else and you switch jobs, instead of rolling over that 401k into your new employer 401k, which may only have a small pool of things that you can invest in, right? Then is a really good time to roll over your 401k, your employer 401k into a self-directed account. And then also if you're exiting the corporate world, right? I was talking to a buddy of mine and he just went through what do they call it now? I don't know, right sizing. He went through a layoff, but they call it something nice now. But, and they told him, they're like, oh, you can keep your money in Fidelity. Of course they want you to keep your money in Fidelity. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you can also roll it over at that point as well. So I just wanted to point that out, because had I known, hindsight's 2020. So I wish a lot of this I would have known before my late 30s. But that's okay. I'm making up for lost time now. But it's a really good time to be able to roll it over. And there's no time like the present, right? So if you're looking at starting one of these accounts, or you're considering it, or want to have that conversation, take action. If you want to talk to, I know I have one, I know Maria has one, it's likely Beth has one. I don't know for sure. You could talk to her. If you want to reach out to Tabitha, I will make sure her contact information is below the live so that you can reach out to her. But, start asking questions, get educated, take action so that you can be in charge of your future. And one of the things I always say, right, it's on my Ohana Investment Partners business card, is own your future, right? So you are in control. No one else cares as much about your future, your retirement, your wealth as you do. So take control of it.
Yeah, and I'll share with you too, Angie. My grandparents are getting divorced. They're like 60 something, getting divorced, they're selling the house, they want to split the house, and my grandma is demanding $30,000 on top of that. And I'm like, I was asking my mom, okay, does Papa have a 401k? She said, yeah, he cashed it out like 2 years ago. And I was like, well, where did that money go? She was like, oh, I think he bought a truck. I'm sure he paid for it in cash. I'm like, what does he expect to do? Yeah, I'm like, what does he expect to do? And she's like, I don't know, live off Social Security. And I'm like, that's not enough. It's not enough. Like, we need to start taking this into our own hands. And that's why I'm very grateful being so young, like, and learning about this, because I love sharing this knowledge with all these people, because I didn't even know what a 401k was or what it meant my entire life. So now that, like, hearing about this and hearing all these people that don't even know that an option like this exists is just, it's wild to me. And it's very something that you should really take a look at and educate yourself on it.
Right. And you can set up, Roths for your children, right? You can set up an account so you can do stuff. And I know we like to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes too. So he doesn't really know. He's very young, right? But so that at some point it'll be available, right? And at some point, as he gets older, he can start having those conversations and decide what he wants to invest in with us. And so that's really exciting too, because then it's putting the ownership on him and saying, okay, what do you want to invest in, right? Here's your money. Oh, by the way, you can't touch it. So that works out. But what do you want to invest in, right? Do you want to do this? Do you want to invest in a flip? Do you want to invest in tax seeds? Do you want to invest in a syndication? Do you want to invest in gold? I don't know. I know nothing about gold, by the way, but it's an option. There's lots of options. So, well, thank you so much for joining us today. If anyone has any questions, please make sure you put your questions in the comments below and we will answer them. We'll make sure Tabitha's information is in the comments below. And please, by all means, take action, ask questions, connect with other women in this group. If you have one of these accounts, a self-directed account, and you want to share your experience or what's worked really well for you, or even what hasn't worked well for you, please share that, because the way that we're all going to grow and learn is by sharing our experiences together. And listen, if we can all get rich together, I am all for that. The more money we put in the hands of women, I truly believe the better off we will all be. So on that note, thank you again for joining us. This is Angie Aki with Ohana Investment Partners, and I am running this Facebook Live for Intelligent Investing for Independent Women. So thank you so much, Tabitha. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Take care.